In the late 1950s, more than 20 years had passed since the release of Karloff's Frankenstein and Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Audiences had grown jaded. Black and white, slow-paced, the Universal monsters just weren't cool anymore.
Fuck you!
Coming to the rescue was Hammer Films, a British film studio who revived the Universal monsters. New Frankenstein, New Dracula. These films were shot in glorious Technicolor. There was blood and heaving bosoms. The series made immortal stars of Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Hammer made 4 Mummy movies, 7 Frankenstein movies, and 9 Dracula movies. Yet they only made 1 werewolf movie, Curse of the Werewolf. This might be one of the strangest werewolf movies I've ever seen, based on a popular 1933 novel called The Werewolf of Paris.
An American werewolf in Paris.
No relation. Curse of the Werewolf, however, takes place in Spain. Supposedly, Hammer was prepared to shoot a movie about the Spanish Inquisition, but aborted at the last minute. Since they had all these sets and costumes, they said, "Hey assholes, could you set your werewolf movie in Spain? 'Cause that would be great." The best part of the movie is the opening 20 minutes. I gotta be honest, I had no idea where the story was going. Totally not what I expected. Some beggar has been wandering across Spain, going from tavern to tavern trying to mooch drinks. He winds up at the palace on the day of the local Marquis' wedding feast. This guy's name is, get this, Marquis Sinestro, and boy is he a handful. It's like a grown-up version of Prince Joffrey, a real dickhead. He abuses the beggar for a while, forcing him to humiliate himself for food. When the Marquis tires of this, he takes his bride and heads off to bed. The beggar makes the mistake of winking at the Marquis. All, "Dude, you're gonna get laid." The Marquis doesn't like the beggar leering at him and his bride, so he tosses him in the dungeon. The beggar is down there for years. His only friend is the daughter of the jailer, a mute little girl. It's kind of sweet the way she feeds this big hairy lout every day, but I'm starting to get impatient, wondering, when is this going to turn into a werewolf story? So years pass and the mute girl grows up looking pretty good. She's still feeding the imprisoned beggar. One day, the Marquis sees the mute girl and tries putting the moves on her. What a creepy Harvey Weinstein wannabe motherfucker. When she refuses, he has her thrown in the dungeon. Now, I'm expecting the next part of the movie to be about the beggar winning the trust of the mute girl and helping her escape from the cell. You know, a Beauty and the Beast sort of deal, where at first she's afraid because he looks awful, but it turns out he's sweet inside. Boy, I could not have been more wrong. Now she's the only person who's ever showed the beggar any kindness. Even still, as soon as she's thrown in the cell, the beggar goes berserk and rapes her.
Holy shit!
The Universal movies were so afraid of offending the audience, they wouldn't even show you the monster throwing a girl into the water. But Hammer has no problem opening their movie with an elaborate rape backstory, one made all the more disturbing by the fact he's known her since she was a little girl. The rape is too strenuous on the beggar's heart and he drops dead. The mute girl is released from the cell. Well, I guess she's learned her lesson. She goes back to the Marquis and stabs the shit out of him with some weird object that looks like a statue of the Eiffel Tower. This bizarre opening sequence is my favorite part of the movie. It's like something out of an old EC Tales from the Crypt comic. Even the characters look like they jumped out of a comic, especially the Marquis. He looks like Ebenezer Scrooge with syphilis. So the now pregnant mute girl is taken in by a Don and his housekeeper. The housekeeper is a real superstitious bitch. She's worried the baby is going to be cursed. Why? Because he was the product of prison rape with a clearly deranged madman? No.
It will be born on the very hour of our Lord's birth.
Surely that should be a reason to rejoice.
For an unwanted child to be born then is an insult to heaven, senor.
That's right. It's a bad sign for the baby to be born on Christmas Day. What? Does she think baby Jesus is jealous and can't handle sharing the limelight? Although when they take the baby to get baptized, there's an eclipse and the holy water starts bubbling. So I guess the housekeeper knew what she was talking about? Frankly, they should have drowned the baby right there. After that, the movie turns into your basic werewolf story. The guy grows up, and when the moon comes out, he changes and attacks people until his father shoots him with a silver bullet. You've seen it all before. The transformations in Curse of the Werewolf are bottom of the barrel. Yeah, it's pretty easy to tell how the Universal ones were done, but they at least created surreal images. I mean, what the hell is this? I know they're just fake hands, but looks like a time-lapse of 2 loaves of bread growing mold. The final werewolf makeup looks excellent though. Oliver Reed's bulk makes him imposing and threatening. And I love the cute little dog ears perched on top of his head. I mean, if you saw him in silhouette, he'd look like Batman. This is such a great bit, where the mob throws their torch and sets the hay bales on fire. They're all like, "We got you now," and the Wolfman's all, "Ah, the tables have turned." Hammer didn't do another werewolf movie. It took another 20 years for the great lycanthrope revival of 1981, with American Werewolf in London, The Howling, and Wolfen. All 3 of those movies came out in 1981? Yeah, it's sort of like the 2 Volcano movies, Dante's Peak and Volcano, both coming out in 1997. Or the 2 asteroid movies, Deep Impact and Armageddon, both coming out in 1998. Now I'm wondering, is there someone else posting their own video review of Curse of the Werewolf the same time as this one?
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
Shenanigans. It's been a lot of fun, shenanigans. But now we've got to run. It's funny how the minutes seem to fly.